What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. We're here, another great week of college football. We have our upsets and we have our easy game. This Friday, we have one of those easy games. Oregon versus Michigan State. There is no doubt in my mind that Oregon can't handle business at home Friday night under the lights. It's going to be 35-7. Two Friday games. We have is UNLV. Welcome to the top 25. Historic day for UNLV and their fans. Their starting QB. They still came out with the dub last week. I believe that UNLV is one of the better group of five teams. At the beginning of the season, I would never have said that. But after watching them play on Saturday, I do believe that they could potentially be one of the best right there next to Boise. But with this game, I have it 28-22. I think Syracuse is a fairly decent team, and I still think they're going to score some points, and they're going to try to keep it close, but I think UNLV is going to come out on top. First Saturday game, noon Eastern, we have UCLA versus the Nittany Lions. Nittany Lions is coming out showing that they deserve to be top 10. I know I say this every week about Nittany Lions. I just don't think they're that. I don't believe in the Nittany Lions. But this game, I think it's going to be easy cakewalk for the Nittany Lions against UCLA. 42-14, no crazy upset here. Nittany Lions at home. It's just going to be too easy. First ranked on ranked match of the weekend. We have Texas A&M versus Missouri. Both teams, middle of the road SEC talent. I don't think Missouri is going to be in the top 10 by the end of the year. I just think that they just have a hard time on defense. Letting teams like Vanderbilt score 27 points on you, keeping that game close should never, ever happen. Boston College, too close. Same thing with Texas A&M. They lost to Notre Dame week 1. That's not a big surprise. Notre Dame is a really good team. But when they're playing teams like Florida, which aren't very good, and barely winning, barely beat Bowling Green by 6 points, letting teams like Arkansas stay in the game, I just don't think that either of these teams can play defense to the same caliber. Offense isn't much stronger. They're scoring average around 20-some points a game, which is why I have it really close. I have Missouri on top, 24-20. First upset of the weekend we have is Louisville versus the Mustangs. If Louisville would have won yesterday against Notre Dame with prowess, I would have had them beating the Mustangs. But the Mustangs are out here scoring 30, 40, 50 points on teams. They just coming off this big dub against Florida State. I know Florida State isn't the greatest team, but that is something to show for it. And the Mustangs only have one loss. So I have them in here winning 31-28 against Louisville. Louisville was a little sluggish, struggling on offense. They couldn't really move the ball up the field with the commanding prowess, but I do think the Stangs come out on top on this one. My pride and joy, Iowa, Ohio State, we have is Ohio State's very strong offense, very strong defense. We're going to be in Buckeye territory. I do think that Iowa's offense has something to show, but I also think they're going to be able to compete with the Buckeyes. Actually, that's incorrect. Iowa Hawkeyes are going to come out here with the upset, with the dub, 3:30 Eastern time. They're beating the Buckeyes in Buckeye territory. This is Iowa's year to show that they can make it to the 12-team playoff with no issue. Iowa's winning this 24-21. Mark my words, we're putting it in stone here. Come back to me on Saturday after Iowa gets the W. All jokes aside about the Hawkeyes, we next have Georgia versus Auburn. Auburn's coming off a very fun game, very interesting game against Oklahoma. Almost won. They had the lead. They had the lead most of the game, but they just couldn't finish the business. Georgia's no Oklahoma, though. I think Georgia's going to come out here after that devastating loss against Alabama over the weekend, down 28-0 at some points. I think they're going to come out here throwing the ball, what they should have been doing at the beginning of the game against Alabama. They're going to come out here and just dominate. 49-13. I think they're going to run up the score in this one to really show that they are offensive talent. Their quarterback isn't struggling. Their receivers aren't struggling. They're going to come out. Their offense is going to dominate. Their defense is going to probably score a touchdown at least. I have it 49-13. Next 3:30 game we have is another upset. Upset alert. We have South Carolina versus Ole Miss. Ole Miss, like I said last week, they're not good. Everyone in the comments, Ole Miss is so good. They're not good, though. As we saw, Kentucky handled business against Ole Miss. Took them out back and put them down. Showed them where they should be. Not ranked. I have South Carolina winning this game 33-28. South Carolina has been showing really strong promise in the last couple of games. Their offense is looking sharp. So I have South Carolina coming out here and sneaking out a dub against Ole Miss. Next Saturday, 3:30 Eastern, we have is Indiana Northwestern. Welcome to the rankings, Indiana. 5-0 is nothing to scoff at. But I remember last year, they were 5-0, went to the Buckeye land, and lost by 20 plus. But they're not playing against Ohio State here. They're playing against Northwestern. So I have Indiana starting the season 6-0, bowl game eligible. But this schedule for Indiana isn't looking too bright. They play Michigan, they play Ohio State, and they play Nebraska and Washington. Washington is nothing too crazy, but Nebraska was ranked, and they're still pretty strong. But I do think Indiana's going to win this 28-7, easy dubs. Saturday Night Classic, 4:15, SEC matchup. We have is Alabama versus Vanderbilt. There's not much to say about this. Vanderbilt's pretty bad at football. They had some strong showings early in the year with very competitive games, but I don't think they're going to be very competitive in this one. You saw Alabama score 28 points, 21 points in the first quarter, another touchdown to follow right away. I think they're going to double down, really run up the score in this one. I think it's going to be like 50 plus points, 50-10. I just don't think it's going to be close. This is the Saturday Night Classic game that we thought was going to be awesome. We thought these two Titans were going to be undefeated coming into this game, but Florida State has let us down. They only have one W under their belt, and Clemson has one loss. It's not looking too good for the ACC Titans right now, but I do think that Clemson is going to catch these dubs right now. Florida State isn't very good. Florida State looked awful last week. They looked awful every week, but at least Clemson has something to prove, and they show that they can go on to win the ACC, because I do think that the Clemson are going to win the ACC after Louisville's loss. SMU might have a chance, but I think Clemson's going to win this 42-10, no problem. Another Saturday night primetime game we have is Boise, 21. Boise's just climbing the ladder here. I think they're going to get down to at least 15 probably by the end of the season if they keep winning with dominance. Like Cincinnati in 2021, they have to win with dominance. I think Boise here is going to win with dominance, 35-14 against Utah State. Utah State doesn't have very many wins, but they're not very good. So I think Boise to score 35, maybe 42 points here, really run up the score. They want to show the committee that they are the group of 5 team that should be in, and they're competing with like the likes of UNLV. They're competing with JMU. JMU scored 70 points on UNC. But we're not here to talk about the group of 5. We're here to talk about picks and predictions. Next Saturday night game we have is Tennessee versus Arkansas. Arkansas let me down last week. I know I had them winning against Texas A&M. And in that game, they were winning at some points, but they just could not handle business on defense, letting Texas A&M run the tide on them. We do have a close one here, but it is very deceiving. I think Arkansas is going to score a last-minute touchdown near the end of the game. It's going to be like 13, 14 points, then score a last-minute touchdown, go for 2, or get that field goal. And Tennessee's just going to be up 27 at that point. I think they're going to be in commanding position the entire game. So I do have them winning 27-20 on this. Next Saturday night game, I don't even know if this is considered an upset because Washington is the favorite. I picked Washington before the spread even came out, but then the spread came out and it says Washington minus 2.5. I have Washington winning this game. Upset alert. Let the bells start ringing. Michigan is looking sluggish. They've been struggling on offense. They're trying to find that pass game. I know they find it sometimes. It feels like the Iowa Hawkeyes a year or two ago where they could pass it sometimes but not pass it at all. And it's just not looking good. Their offense is struggling. Their defense is looking pretty good, but not as good as last year's defense. So this is a shell of a team that once was. So I think they're going to lose this one. Bring them back down to earth, and they have to go back to the drawing board on this one. Next Saturday night game we have is the USC versus Minnesota. Minnesota did keep up with Michigan this last week. They almost had a chance to win. Please check out my video about that last play. It's going to be up there in the corner. But USC also had a pretty strong showing against Wisconsin. Very slow start. Wisconsin was winning most of that game, and then USC came back 28 unanswered points. I think they're going to do the same thing to Minnesota. I think Minnesota's going to get up first, and then USC is going to come back in the second half and capture the W on this one. I have it 35-20. Next Saturday night game we have is Baylor, Iowa State. I had some Baylor believers in the comments last week, but Baylor is not very good. But Baylor does like to keep up with teams. So I have this very close. The spread says minus 13.5, but I don't discount Baylor that easy. I think Baylor's going to keep this game close, and I think there's only going to be a touchdown, one-score game in between them. I have Iowa State winning this 24-17. Last ranked game of the evening we have is Cal versus the U. This is going to be a late night, long flight kind of game. Miami is favored minus 13. And I don't doubt it. I think they're going to win by way more. I don't think Cal's going to score very many points. I have them at 3, maybe 7 points, maybe even 10. And Miami's going to dominate. Their offense is too strong. They're going to come out, go through the motions this late in the evening, and essentially win the game. That's going to be it for this video. Please like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. And please follow for more. Please go and watch other videos on the channel. That's going to be it. Peace.